Hello, I'm Art Hutchinson,
And I'm Abby Hutchinson.
and we'd like to welcome you to the Hutchinson Ranch and Hutchinson Homestead and Learning Center.
Our family homesteaded this land in 1868, and we are still ranching here 6 generations later.
The Hutchinson Ranch surrounds the family homestead and covers about 750 acres, primarily south of where you are currently sitting. A branch of the Arkansas River, the South Arkansas, runs through our pastures just to the south, and the historic Denver and Rio Grande Railroad route borders on the north edge of the fields just behind the Hutchinson Homestead and Learning Center. The Hutchinson Homestead and Learning Center was the working hub of this ranch for about 150 years and includes a little over 2 acres of land, as well as the original ranch house, outbuildings, corrals, and fences. Its preservation represents a vision initiated by my father, Wendell Hutchinson, about a decade ago.
I think Wendell was a very special person in that he cared about people. He really cared about people.
Back in the saddle again. Well, a friend is a friend.
Many times too, if the men hadn't already got the cows in to milk, well, it was our job, my brother and I, to go over across the railroad tracks now and bring the cows up out of that pasture and bring them home.
And he didn't care whether you were rich or poor or a famous person or the guy who's trying to make it go. He just didn't have that judgment quality.
My father's hope was to preserve some things from the past, including the original ranch house, so that future generations will know how we lived and worked in those bygone days. Here we tell the story of our pioneer past and bridge our ranching heritage with the future of agriculture in our community.
The Hutchinson Ranch began in 1868 when pioneer Joseph Sykes Hutchinson married Annabelle McPherson, settled on this homestead, and started raising cattle.
Well, and as they say in a time long ago, the West really wasn't developed, and the gold rush must have been one heck of a lure for people post-Civil War. And we're not so sure about the McPherson side of the family. We know they came out of Wisconsin in a covered wagon, and they got to, you think about even there, coming out of Wisconsin, you cross the rivers, you follow the Platte River. There's stories of them deciding whether to turn back because of Indian raids on other parties. They had taken everything they owned, including a melodeon, which is a musical kind of organ, and their kids. Annabelle was, just a young girl, about 13 or 14, I can't remember off the top, but you go, what would it take to pack it all up and know you'd probably never go home?
They were long hours, 7 days a week, no vacations, and everybody just worked together and you survived off of the land. They always had chickens and geese and ducks and pigs.
They were just kind of married to the ranch and the cows and that lifestyle and that work.
During a time when the Ute Indians still traveled through the area, the Hutchinson Open Range Cattle Operation was one of the largest in the region.
I think they had a decent relationship, a respectful relationship with the Utes, and the Utes had a respectful relationship with us, but we've maintained the land kind of as stewards, and I think we still see it that way.
Enduring for over 140 years, the Hutchinson Homestead has remained in continuous use. The homestead and the surrounding ranch lands have allowed the family to live and work here and maintain the cattle and the ranching way of life in the high country of Colorado.
See, so clearly we have this magnificent piece of land in the upper Arkansas River Valley, and without our ancestors we wouldn't have this. And of course, in order to maintain this type of property, it takes a great deal of dedication and hard work and sacrifice.
Preserving these historic buildings inside and out allows visitors to experience what life was like for a pioneering family and to see the evolution of a homestead over the past 140 years.
We're not selling out to be a golf course. We're still ranching, but we're taking care of things, and we are trying to do better. Every day is a learning experience.
Today, Abby runs the ranch in much the same way as her ancestors did before her. She also realizes that ranching has to change to survive. and the families incorporating advances in ranching that will help them continue to improve the land and the cattle. Designated as one of Colorado's most endangered places in 2003, the Hutchinson family donated the homestead to the town of Poncha Springs in 2006, and the Hutchinson Homestead started undergoing the preservation of its century-old buildings. Well, I know that Hutch had a vision for both. His vision, I'm sure, for the ranch was to keep it in ranching, to keep it open space, to not have it developed. And then his vision for the homestead, and he and his family had taken care of these buildings to make sure they hadn't fallen down. They're all some of them 140 years old. So his vision was to be able to open it to the public and to educate people in this generation and the generations coming in the future about ranching, what high altitude ranching was when it first started back in the 1860s, and how it's evolved over time. So he wanted it to be a place for the public and for tourists and for the community to preserve this very precious chapter in our history here in Chaffee County. Local nonprofits, Salida Area Parks, Open Space, and Trails worked on behalf of Wendell Hutchinson to obtain preservation grants from History Colorado State Historical Fund and the National Park Service.
I can see the winds of change coming. That the rebuilding of this house was a supreme effort to keep some kind of a statement alive here at this point. And I really thank the group and Poncha and all of the folks that work here, you know, for saving this place and saving our heritage too. We'll call it home.
I think that the ranch will stay in the Hutchinson name for as long as their families are around, and probably longer.
10 years and 3 phases of meticulous preservation work was led by Older Than Dirt Construction.
We were fortunate enough to get the bid for the first phase of construction, which was the exterior restoration of the main house. Since that time, over the last 7 or 8 years, it's actually become a passion, not only professionally but personally, as we discovered and were able to share Hutch's story and the Hutchinson family story with everybody else.
Today, Guidestone Colorado, a nonprofit organization based in Chaffee County, is poised to help meet Wendell's vision. Guidestone Colorado is growing a vibrant agricultural future through education, community building, and partnerships. Developing the Hutchinson Homestead and Learning Center into a dynamic historical and cultural interpretation and agriculture education center, Guidestone Colorado provides tours, education programs, and community events. These experiences will help current and future generations bridge the past to the future of agriculture in our community. The Hutchinson Homestead and Learning Center is supported in part through contributions by individual donors and sponsors. For more information on these opportunities or to volunteer, please visit our website, hutchinsonhomestead.org, or call 719-239-0955. During your visit today, we invite you to walk in the footsteps of those who have lived and worked on the homestead. We hope you experience the history of this special place and explore how this history will guide and influence our agricultural practices long into the future.
Thank you for joining us on this 150-year adventure.